Well, I was just out of college, and I thought at that time, this was back during the early 60s, late 50s, and I believe that every young man should serve sometime for his country. I was 20, let's see, 22, I believe it was. The Army, the Army was our first line of defense. And my dad served in the Army, and I had a brother that had joined the Navy, but my leanings were just for the U.S. Army. You get to really travel and see the world. Boot camp, good old boot camp. I served my boot camp in Fort Hood, Texas, and when we went down, it was a little warm, but then it became winter time. Cold, oh, it was cold, and like the good old U.S. Army, you hurry up and wait. And I remember they marched us down to take our shots. They stripped us off down to our waist, and before they let us go in, we were like an hour, hour and a half before we ever got in to get the shots. And it really like to froze to death. Out of boot camp, I was stationed in Germany for 36 months, but I was with the 3rd Armored Division, the 143rd Signal Battalion, and it was our primary goal was to furnish all the communications for the 3rd Armored Division, and that was one of my jobs is working out in the field, and with had these trucks with these big radio bands, and most of it was radio equipment with facsimile equipment, microwave, communications. And what really, that fascinated me as being a young kid from Purcell, Oklahoma, was that from the field in Germany up on some mountain, I could call all the way to Purcell, Oklahoma if I wanted to. I was just a buck sergeant. Sergeants run the Army, by the way. The officers have no clue of what's going on half the time. Uh-oh. There's never a best in military food. It's completely different. It is now. I guess I would have to say probably Thanksgiving and Christmas. You got the turkey and the ham, and my unit, we had an orphanage that we supported, and I have a little girl, but she was 6 years old, and the prettiest little girl, and so we'd always have them out to the base during the year, but especially on Christmas and Thanksgiving. The worst food were C rations. Now, the only good thing I can say about C rations is that the canned hamburger patties, they come in little cans and had a little beef patty in it with a kind of a little gravy like. And we would put them up on the manifold of the truck when we were traveling so they'd heat up. That, you'd open them up, you'd have fresh hamburger meat. I don't know, maybe I should not say that. The thing that, when I got to Germany, there was a need to go to the restaurant. And Damen, D-A-M-E-N, is for women. Herren, H-E-R-R-I-N, is for men. I did not know which one to go to. And so Damen, with the men in the word, I figured that would be a safe deal. I go in and I find myself in the ladies' restroom with all these ladies. Thank heavens, at that time I did not speak German, so I do not know what was said. I just exited immediately back to the main corridor in the train station. I remember when my tour of duty was up. Back then, it's to now they have deployed. You deploy for 7 months or a year and come home. Back then, when they sent you to Germany, you stayed for what your enlistment time was. And so I've been there for 36 months. And so it was time to come home. I caught a passenger train to Purcell. And I remember I was walking up Depot Hill with my duffel bag, and the police stopped me and asked me where I was going, you know, and I said, well, I just got home from Germany and trying to get home. And so they said they'd give me a ride home, and they did. And I got there, and it was about 3:30 in the morning, and I knocked on the door and knocked on the door. My dad came to the door, and he said, yes, can I help you? And I said, what do you mean, can you help me? And he says, well, what do you want? And I said, I'm home. And he says, you're home? And I said, Dad, it's Ralph. And he says, what are you doing home? You know, he didn't even recognize me. You know, I've been gone, because I just gotten out of college, and I hadn't been a lot of time spent at home, because we didn't go back and forth in those days. And then I've been gone for 36 months in Germany. And, you know, he just, 3:30 in the morning, he just not recognized me. Well, after I got home in the military, I joined with my dad and brother. We were in the construction business. We were paving contractors, and we did a lot of the curbs and gutters in Purcell, Oklahoma, with the exception of all these new additions. In fact, the addition that I live in now, we put the streets in, which is at Bonnie Street in Purcell. And, you know, I've enjoyed Purcell, and after we sold our company, I worked for the highway department for 30 years. And after retiring from the highway department, my sweet wife and I would travel some. And my hobbies, I like old movies. I love opera and classical music. And one of my best things is all my kids in Purcell and all over the state that I know. And I love kids, love to get them, take them to Brahms or take them out to dinner. And hobbies are my kids, really. What life lessons? Camaraderie. I have my old friends from being with one another and looking out after one another, the whole camaraderie that you learn and that time that I served in the service. I am the last of the group that I was with, the surviving group. Freedom, gosh. Can you imagine living without being free? You know, every year at Veterans Day is a recall of all the horrendous things that happened during that bad war with Hitler. And all the Jewish people and other religions were put in those concentration camps. It was a horrible thing. And we still live with war that we're fighting every day with this new terrorism and all that. And people like the ISIS situation, they go in and take over whole countries or portions of countries, and the people are completely dominated. I don't know what it would be like. I've lived in America all my life, and freedom is everything. Do you know what it's like to go to the church that you want to? Do you know what it's like to go to Walmart and buy anything that you want to without any restrictions? Do you know what it's like to live with a beautiful wife and that I own this beautiful home? Freedom is you can't hardly encompass what freedom means. Patriotism. You know, you think about where this country's come along, the Revolutionary War, and then the horrendous Civil War. But we've always come back to the center, and we've always become America. And I think that everyone should sit down and really contemplate what this country is, and to be the patriotism of each and every life. You know what I like most about President Ronald Reagan was we had drifted, and we do drift as a country, but there was something about Ronald Reagan that called us back to patriotism.